Hey, welcome to Sparks. I'm Bob McNamara. So you just met Charlie, who seems to have a pretty good appetite. And Charlie's one of those dogs, like a lot of dogs, that will just continue eating. He can't control himself. If you put the food in front of him, he'll eat until he explodes. Right? It's not his fault. It's just what he knows. And so his owners have to be careful about what they feed him and how often they feed him and if they put any food in front of him, because he can't self-regulate. And as I've said in other Sparks, I think people are a lot like dogs sometimes, and here's a great example of that. There are lots of people that can't self-regulate or impose kind of self-control. So in that way, people and dogs are a lot alike. So one of the things I want to talk about in this Spark is this notion of addiction, right? And one of the things about addictions that's a problem is that, as many of the experts will tell us, that once you get addicted to something, in this case maybe it's drugs or alcohol or whatever, you actually need more and more of it to get the same feeling. In some cases, like with heroin, for example, you need more and more of the drug just to get the same high or just to stay away from the pain of withdrawal. And so it's a problem, right? And you may say, well, yeah, I know, but I don't do drugs, so that's not a problem for me. Well, yeah, but are you one of those people that the first thing you do in the morning when you wake up is pick up your phone? Or the minute somebody sends you a group text, you have to respond, right? There are those who argue, that study this stuff for a living, that say if you're so dependent upon your phone, or you're so dependent upon group texts, or your YouTube channel, that you have to keep checking how many people have liked, or how many people have subscribed, or how many people have viewed your video clips, that's a problem. That's a kind of an addiction, right? And you shouldn't feel bad about this, right? Because this is something that lots of people wrestle with. And so, or maybe this is the first time you've ever really thought about that. Can I put my phone down? Can I put my phone away? Or am I really tethered to it? How much energy and time am I investing in this phone, and how reliant am I on it, that I need it? I need to have it with me. I need to look at it all the time. I need to make sure, right? Because one of the things that addictions aren't just about drugs or alcohol. There are all kinds of addictions, right? And we overspend, and we overeat, and we under-exercise, and we get addicted to all kinds of things. So you shouldn't feel bad about this, but you should sort of be aware of it. And with the YouTube channel, it's really, really hard for people not to feel something. Like, if, hey, I put all this work into my clip, and I got this YouTube channel, and all of a sudden nobody's replying, nobody's subscribing, nobody's liking, what's wrong with me? Those feelings are real, right? And they're painful, and they don't have to be that way. But when we let other things take control over our lives, like how we feel about ourselves is dependent upon whether somebody clicks on a button that has nothing really to do with us, suddenly you see the problem of addiction, right? And so maybe it's the case that you didn't know, right? That maybe you weren't aware that you were addicted to something. I think about all those people that are addicted to tobacco, right? I read just yesterday that almost 500,000 people die every year from smoking and using tobacco products, which is crazy, right? And most of the people who are addicted have tried to quit multiple times and they failed. So now, why did they start smoking in the first place? Well, they started smoking in the first place because marketing and the corporations and other people were saying, oh, cigarette smoking isn't harmful to you. It's fine. It's no big deal. And then they got addicted, and now they can't stop, right? So that tells me something. It tells me two things about the nature of addictions, right? That if most people who have smoked tried and failed to quit multiple times, that means that addiction to tobacco is crazy strong. It's very, very rare that you get somebody that says, you know what, I'm not going to smoke anymore, and then they stop, and then they live the rest of their lives without tobacco. It doesn't happen. But what about those people that know the risks, right? We've done a really good job of letting people know, now that the research has come out and the lawsuits have happened, where we know a lot about the effects of tobacco and smoking, and even secondhand smoke. Just being around other people that smoke is unhealthy for you. What about those people that know the risks and they do it anyways? What about those people that know all the things that they do that are bad for them and do them anyway? Do they think that they're immune from those risks? Do they think it's not going to happen to them? Do they think they have some kind of superpower that keeps them or protects them from that stuff? It's kind of delusional. It's a little arrogant, right? But what about those people? Because there are a lot of those people like that too, and you may be one of them, right? You may be one of those people that suddenly, wait a minute, I know this is bad for me, but I'm doing it anyways. What does that say about you, and more importantly, about the power of addiction? So biblically, where's the Bible fit into all of this, right? Biblically, there's an awful lot of stories about temptation and even idol worship, right? There's lots of stories in the Bible, and you should look them up and read them. These are really thoughtful, smart, savvy people who didn't put God first, right? They put other things first. They made these statues out of gold, and they worshiped the calves that they made, and they just got it so wrong. Either because they didn't know any better, or they didn't think that they were wrong. They thought it was okay for them to do it. So again, you have to think about, can I put my phone down? Can I put my phone away and not have to worry about it for a night? Have you ever tried that? Have you ever tried to just say, I'm not going to go on social media for a day. I'm not going to answer my text for a whole day. Or I'm not going to respond to the group chat for a whole day. Try it. See if you can do it. It's really, really hard. And again, I'm not blaming you for having that problem. It's because it happens to a lot of people. And this idol worship stuff is real. You know, adults, they worship their homes and their cars and their careers and money and fame and all that other stuff. So we all do it, right? And we take our eyes off of the things that are important. And that gets us into trouble, right? So I want you to think about that. Here's an idea. How about this? How about this week you send out a text or post something on your social media about idol worship and about addictive behaviors, and see what happens. See what kind of responses you get from your friends. My guess is they're going to be probably like you, that they never really even thought about this before. They never even gave it any thought at all. Or maybe they dismiss it as being, that's just old people talking and everything is bad. But I'll bet you there are going to be a lot of them that are going to go, hey, I never thought about that. My phone as an idol, or my place in the group chat as a form of idol worship. Because as Christians, we're supposed to be better than that. We're supposed to be thoughtful. We're supposed to be careful, right? We're supposed to know this stuff and be aware of the risks. You know, all that scripture about the devil coming in sheep's clothing and all that other stuff, right? He's really coming out to hurt you. And sometimes he's really, really good at deceiving you or making you think it's one thing when it's really something altogether different. So we're supposed to be aware. We're supposed to be mindful of it. So I don't want you to feel guilty or bad about if you've done this or this is some of the struggles that you have. We all have these kinds of problems. But just see what happens, right? And there's this great quote that I always think about when we're sort of made aware of something we hadn't thought about before, and I'll leave you with that. It's a quote by Maya Angelou. And she's saying, look, you do the best you can until you know better. And then when you know better, you do better, right? So think about that as it relates to this addiction / idol worship kind of dependency problem that we're talking about. So go chew on that for a while and come back and let's talk about that soon. All right? Take care.